Okay, there we go. So take two. Good evening, and thank you guys for coming in. Thank everybody who watches this in the future. I do want to say to hit like and subscribe, and there's websites in the description down below. Please visit our websites and share them as much as you can. I'm here with our friends and our special guest speaker, Dr. Jay Shipman. And Dawn, would you go ahead with the disclaimer there? And let me go ahead and put that on the screen before you do that.
Oh, that'd be great. Hi, everybody. So glad you joined us. Going to have a short disclaimer, and I'm going to go ahead and read that. The FDA disclaimer: these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Any products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This presentation is not intended to provide diagnosis, treatment, or medical advice. Product, services, information, and other content provided in this presentation, including information that may be provided in this presentation directly or by linking to third-party websites, are provided for informational purposes only. Please consult with a physician or other healthcare professionals regarding any medical or health-related diagnosis or treatment options. And we read this because although our subject is gut, a solution that we want to talk about is a natural product. And you know, David, we all probably said, I have that, just have that gut feeling. Well, I have a gut feeling that our listeners are going to enjoy tonight's information. So I'll turn it over to you and go ahead and let you get started.
All right, thank you very much. We are talking about the gut and a very special endogenous, that means something made in our bodies, molecule called glutathione. And you know, there's a lot of things that affect our guts in a good way or a bad way. And as you see on this slide, well, there's kind of more things that affect it adversely than affect it in a good way. You know, dietary fiber intake, and that can be all kinds of things. If you're not sensitive to cereals and grains or fruit, there's all kinds of natural foods that have a lot of dietary fiber and probiotics. A lot of the fermented foods, kimchi, one of my favorites, sauerkraut and pickles have probiotics in them, or you can take a probiotic supplement. And there's a lot of good results that come from that, but there's other things that affect our insides as well. You see the little model on the overlaid on the gut. This is the representation of what I was talking about, the glutathione molecule. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Some other things with our guts, things that affect us, stressors that lower our immune system, not getting enough sleep, stress at work, not eating right, toxins. We talk a lot about toxins on this show, and toxins really affect our intestines in a negative way. Exercise, over-exercise also stresses our bodies and has a negative effect on our intestines. And that leads, if unchecked, to dysbiosis or leaky gut syndrome. And here's a few other things. SARS. Did you know that COVID can actually affect your guts adversely? Yeah, it's it's a disease that affects the lungs, but it affects more than just the lungs. It can affect the good microbes in your intestinal system, and like the slide says, increase the permeability of the gut barrier, leading to leaky gut syndrome, and a lot of other things that happen with that. A lot of inflammation, cytokine storms, reduced immune system activity, all kinds of stuff. But we get into stuff that makes things better. This is a very early study done on what at the time was called dietary lactalbumin hydrosilate. And this was the name given to a substance that was discovered by Dr. Gustavo Bonas and Dr. Kongshaven. And this was a study done on mice and resistance to salmonella. So using this dietary supplement raised the immune system of these mice and fought off salmonella. And one of my good friends did a write-up on this, made it a little more clear to us. And this is his write-up. It is an early paper, a compilation of work done on this product that was later named ImmunoCal by Dr. Bonos. And it laid the groundwork for all of his later research on the product. And they also refined the product to a higher degree. He was working at the University of Sherbrooke in Quebec, and Dr. Kongshaven was at the McGill University, where a lot of the early research was done. She was the first PhD in immunology in North America. And they had obtained this protein complex from a supplier in Switzerland. And they had just decided to send it to him because he had asked contacts all over the world for proteins, because he was doing research on proteins in the immune system at the time. And that is how the discovery was made. But as Dr. Gutman notes here, that this improved the immune system of these mice and made them much more resilient to a very common bacterial infection of salmonella. Another research paper, this one done later, the role of glutathione in intestinal dysfunction. And that's what we're talking about, in dysfunction, issues with our guts, our intestines. And it notes that glutathione, this little molecule, plays a very important role. Cytoprotective, that means protecting our system against all kinds of stuff, toxins. Lots of animal studies were done on this, and studies on humans were also done on free radical mediation in cell injuries, protection of the intestinal lining, reduction of inflammatory bowel disease. And that's, I'll have a slide especially for Dr. Shipman here in a moment, speaking on that subject. It says here, more speculative is whether treatment with glutathione precursors can modify the progress of colorectal cancer. And in recent years, we've seen empirical evidence that treatment with this whey protein isolate that increases glutathione production in the cells does modify the progress of colorectal cancer, and also modifies the prognosis after surgery of those patients. Another study we have is this one, role of glutathione in the gastrointestinal tract, and pretty much the same thing. Glutathione protects our cells from oxidative stress. And that oxidative stress can be caused by all kinds of things. There were similar articles to this noted. This was from the National Institute of Health, their repository on pubmed.gov. And this one too, this one has an interesting thing I want to note right here. The last doctor noted, whoops, I wasn't supposed to do that. Let me go back. I may have to start over. Sorry about that, folks. Let me get back to that slide. The doctor who, one of the doctors on this team, Dr. Wolf Droga, a notable scientist in cancer and anti-aging research, was a principal in this study. And again, their background, testing reactive oxygen species, contribution to tissue injury in IBS, and what the glutathione does for it. Noting what they aimed to do, which was to investigate what the amino acid compounds in the blood do for in irritable or inflammatory bowel disease. How they did it and the results, noting that abnormally low plasma cysteine, and cysteine is a key component to glutathione. Without it, our bodies can't make it. And if our bodies can't make it, it can't get into our cells and do the job that's supposed to do, which noted is it protects our cells from oxidative stress. So abnormally low levels of cysteine are associated with inflammatory bowel disease, and decreased levels demonstrated in non-inflamed mucosa. That's the lining of your bowels, and inflamed mucosa in patients with IBD, just showing, what the levels were with the disease and without. And their conclusion is that decreased activity of these enzymes involved in glutathione synthesis, GSH being the chemical name for glutathione, they're accompanied by decreased availability of the GSH and the cysteine, and contribute to issues with IBD. And I believe this next slide, Doctor, is yours, if I can get to that. I don't know why it didn't save it. Let me instead.
Can you just go to the share screen and I can put mine up again?
Yes, ma'am. You are still a co-host, so you can go ahead and share your screen. I'm going to stop my share. That way you go ahead and share your screen there, so we can all see that.
That's that one.
And I just want to make mention while Jay's getting set up. Now we're not talking about a glutathione supplement or NAC. We're actually talking about a product called Immunical, and we have all had just excellent results from uh, different issues, health issues with Immunical. And since we're environmental foundation, we really wanted to get out the information to be able to help many people learn about it. And if you're interested to know more, we're gonna have you stand by to learn how to contact us, and we'd be happy to help you. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, thanks, Dawn and Dave. Okay, so this is from BMJ, British Medical Journal, and this is a journal called Gut, so it's really appropriate. And they're talking about here inflammation and inflammatory bowel disease. Now, I really want to let you know that every other word in journal articles like this can be like something you have to look up in a dictionary. But if you do that for 5 articles, you're going to be like a world expert on the topic. But also, if you have a disease, the best thing you can do is read the medical journals, because the doctors don't have that much time to read about your medical disease all the time. You might catch something they don't. So I just want to talk a little bit about the parts of this, because here in the abstract right away, they're telling you this is background material, which means it's already supported by a number of research journal articles. Reactive oxygen species contribute to tissue injury in IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. The tripeptide glutathione, GSH, which again is what Immunical is, the active component. It's the most important intracellular antioxidant, which means antioxidants are the things that you want to get from your blueberries and all the things, your colored fruits and vegetables. But the most important intracellular one is in Immunical. And it takes care of these reactive oxygen species, which cause tissue injury to your cells.
Dr. Shipman, I want to ask a question. It says intracellular as opposed to intercellular. Can you expound on that for a second?
Well, inter and intra, one is in between the cells and one is within the cells. So our glutathione, if it's taken as a shot, it goes into things like the blood or the lymph system and travels around outside of the cells. But if you have if you have active, bioactive GSH, which we have in the Immunical, then it gets into the cells, even across the blood-brain barrier. So it can take toxins out of the brain cells. So like if you have aluminum in your brain or mercury from dental amalgams that gets into your brain, or if you have like autism, a lot of children with autism or adults have heavy metals in their brain. It can get those out of even inside of brain cells, we had a seminar last Sunday. Every Sunday night, we have these great research seminars. So if you like research like me, you're going like, yay, yay. But they were talking about even getting things like causing dementia out of the brain, which was a great thing. That was a great research paper. They went through 10 or so journal articles like this. But let me get back to this one.
So if it can do that for the brain, it can also do that for the stomach lining. Is that, and the intestinal lining? Is that
the
correct?
bowel, everything, the bowel, the gut, in fact, I have a client who had gut issues, and she had GERD, and she had acid reflux, and her doctor just doesn't understand it. Although her doctor did approve the glutathione for her, the Immunical. She can take Immunical, but all those issues went away and her blood pressure went down. So she's doing really, really well. And the doctor says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. What she's doing is taking Immunical every day now. So, her gut issues have essentially disappeared. Okay, so they go through in a journal article, they have the background, then they tell you what their purpose is. But their purpose, good research should get a yes or a no. And a no is equally good research. That's important to understand, because when our government spends money, they should take a no answer as valid as a yes answer, because we have some very famous universities that do all the research beforehand so they know they have a yes answer, and then they apply for the money. And we don't want to pay for research where we know the answer. We want to pay for research that they don't know the answer. So about 50-50, we should be getting yes and no's on real research. Okay, that's like on the side. Okay, but that's your tax dollar being wasted at some very top universities that always get yes answers. Okay, so you can just think about that. Then a journal article has methods or materials and methods, and they go through. So here they looked at precursor amino acid levels, analyzing them in the intestinal mucosa and in the plasma. Plasma are the fluids. Okay, so mucosa is the lining of the intestines. And they found that reduced GSH and oxidized glutathione, which they put as reduced as GSH, oxidized as GSSG. So they were determined enzymatically in the blood cells. And they're looking at red blood cells, muscle, okay, all these different things, parts of the intestines. And they found that the activity of glutamylcysteine synthetase and glutamyltransferase were analyzed, and they found that healthy subjects and normal ones from a bowel segment resected for tumor growth were used as controls. So the results in any journal article is where the most important things are found. And they talked about abnormally low plasma cysteine and cystine levels being associated with inflammation. So when you increase those, the gut improved. That's basically what they're saying there. Now, if you come down here to conclusions, and conclusions are generally opinion about the research, but sometimes it's simplified, so people tend to go to them. And a lot of times our public health policy, they just go with these opinions. But you really want to look at the data in the results section. Okay, decreased activity of enzymes involved in GSH synthesis accompanied by decreased availability of cysteine for GSH synthesis contribute to GSH deficiency and irritable bowel disease. The impaired mucosal antioxidant capacity may further promote oxidative damage. So they're saying that GSH deficiency is a target for therapeutic intervention in IBD. And like my client that was using it with her doctor's encouragement, her IBD went away, her acid reflux went away, and her irritable bowel went away, and her blood pressure went down. So, you know, in that's one case. So that is anecdotal, but these articles are based on a lot of people. They study a lot of people when they do them.
And
so
I really found it interesting, Jay, what you just taught us about results. And I have to say, I suffered with heartburn so bad for so long. As when I slept, my stomach would just bring up all this stuff in my throat, my nose, and it burned and hurt. And I do not have heartburn anymore. And I've had other people try Immunical, and it cleared up their heartburn as well. You know what I would really like to talk about next week is eyes and vision, because it's another thing that I'm also happy to announce where my vision was getting very dim. For the past 2 months, David's been putting it in my eyes. And so I thought eyes and vision would be a great one to talk about next week.
That would be a good one, I think.
oh, that's exciting.
That was
there,
very good information, though.
there was something I wanted to say. I'm trying to remember now.
I want to make sure that we put it on this tape about be sure to hydrate so that you don't have
Oh,
a
yes.
problem. And I'm not sure if we
Yes.
said that this time. So anybody who's getting like a stomach problem when they first take Immunical, you should know that you're not hydrating enough. It will even tell you that in the PDR, the physician's desk reference. And I know
Yes.
they call me Dr. J, and I am a doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. So always check with your medical doctor, like my client did. Her client said, take it. Her doctor said, take it. So there you go. But
All right.
take
Thank
enough
you very
water with it.
much.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I want to, on that note, I'm going to stop your share.
Okay, I'll stop it here.
And I'm going to open up that, what you just referenced, the PDR.
And we only have a few more minutes left. So we're gonna look at the PDR. While David's doing that, I would like to ask our listeners to please like and subscribe and share our videos. And please contact us. And David, you want to give them the best email to reach? There is more information under the video in more. I think it's under more on the description, but how can they best reach us?
I shall do that. Our email address is info, that's INFO, at themetaf.org. That's THEMETAF.org. That's our email address. You can also find us at themetaf.org. That is our website. Now, I wanted to note this. This is the PDR. What is the PDR? This is the physician's desk reference. If you have a doctor, if you have a clinician, if you have a nurse, they have a copy of this, whether it's on their desk in a printed form or on their phone or computer. The PDR itemizes every drug that they can prescribe. If it's not in the PDR, they cannot prescribe it to you. And this product was the very, very first nutraceutical, that is non-pharmaceutical product that was admitted into the PDR, and that was admitted about 25 years ago now. And it was also admitted into the Canadian version called the Compendium of Pharmaceutical and something that
We have about a minute left, hon.
Okay. Anyway, this itemizes everything the doctor needs to know about this product, Immunical. The full description, clinical pharmacology, indications and usage, contraindications. And here is the part that I wanted to highlight: adverse reactions. And most of the time with pharmaceuticals, the adverse reaction could be an entire page or more of the printout on the particular product. In this case, it's 2 sentences: gastrointestinal bloating and cramps if not sufficiently rehydrated. This is a dehydrated powdered protein isolate. So you have to properly rehydrate it, just like Dr. J said. Sometimes there is a transient rash. Transient means it comes and it goes. This is rare, and like it states here in the PDR, when undergoing severe detoxification reactions. Once you quit taking the product, obviously you quit detoxing and the rash goes away. Or when you finish detoxing whatever it is that's giving you a rash, also the rash will go away.
And at that point there, I want to add the whole point of us taking something like Immunical is to detoxify our bodies. So a little rash is, to me, a good thing. I did have rash, and to me it was a good thing because I knew that it was cleaning something out of my body. And so I just want to say, if you get a rash or something like that, not to panic.
Right. Our granddaughters had a rash, and it was transient. As soon as they had detoxed whatever it was that was causing the rash, it went away, and they've never had a rash since then. And they have taken Immunocal for some time. And one other note, this is a whey protein isolate. It is made from cow's milk. And yet our granddaughters who are lactose intolerant tolerate it very, very well.
Yes, that's another good point. We do have to end this session for tonight, but we want to welcome y'all back to Eyes and Vision and remind you to please share the information and contact us with any questions. We're very interested in helping you. We have an entire team that is just waiting to hear from you.
Yes, indeed. And like I said at the outset, click below, like, and subscribe. Thank you very much, Dr. Shipman, for being with us tonight. And thank you for everyone who came in on the call, and for everyone who watches this later. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Good night,
You're most
everybody.
welcome. Thank you. Good night.